Hey guys, it's Shea Bear's Video Room here, and it's time for me to make a top 10 list of my favorite movies of last year. Now I saw a lot of movies last year. I think like 62 in total, so yeah, I saw a lot of movies last year. And I thought rather than doing like an entire ranking video for all 62, I'd do a top 10 list of my favorites and a top 10 list of my least favorites, which I will do a top 10 least favorite movies of last year list after this, so yeah. But yeah, so these are my 10 favorite movies from last year. These are the movies that I enjoyed the most from the movies that I watched last year. And yeah, so without further ado, here are my top 10 favorite movies of 2022. Number 10 for me is gonna go to The Menu. Now, I really enjoyed this movie. It was honestly more than I was expecting it to be. I was kind of expecting it to be like your typical horror movie, but I was honestly surprised by how much more this movie really was. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I really liked the performances from like the different actors like Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and others. I also really liked the cinematography too. I thought that was really well done. I think the kills are also really memorable too. And most of the writing I thought was really well done, except for some of the writing. Some of the writing I didn't really care for, to be honest. But it's only some of it. The rest of it, I think is really well done. And yeah, and I also think the story is very unique and very creative, in my opinion. So, yeah. So I had a really fun time with The Menu. I wouldn't really say it's a 10 out of 10 movie, but it's very close to being one. And, it was good enough to make my top 10 list. So, yeah. So The Menu is number 10 for me. Number 9 is gonna go to Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Now, this is definitely my favorite horror movie of the year of 2022. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Again, just like The Menu, I didn't really expect to have this much fun with it, but I ended up having a lot of fun with it. I really liked the characters and the relationships throughout the movie, which I won't spoil anything, but let's just say the relationships throughout the movie, well, they start out normal at first, but they gradually get more chaotic as the movie progresses. Which isn't really a bad thing in my opinion. In fact, it more so makes the movie better, in my opinion. It makes it a more interesting movie, in my opinion. And the kills are also memorable, too. And there were moments that actually had me on the edge of my seat, despite this being a horror comedy. But despite that, there were still some scenes that kind of had me on the edge of my seat. But yeah, I really liked this. I really liked Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Like I said, it's my favorite horror movie of 2022. And yeah. Number 8 is gonna go to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, to be honest, I really was not expecting this movie to be as good as I thought it was in actuality. Because, while I did like Multiverse of Madness and Love and Thunder, to be honest, they weren't top 10 MCU movies. So, I mean, I was excited for Wakanda Forever, but I wasn't kind of really expecting it to be like some, 10 out of 10, top 10 MCU movie. But, oh my god, was I surprised by this movie. I really loved this movie. First of all, the action is great, of course. The visuals are stunning. The performances are great. The characters are great. Just like with the first Black Panther, I really liked the characters in the first movie. And the characters here are really enjoyable too. And it's overall just a really nice tribute to Chadwick Boseman, in my opinion. And I really, I really was not expecting this to be a top 10 MCU movie, but for me at least it is. I really, really loved this movie. So yeah, I was surprised by this movie a lot. But yeah, so this is definitely my favorite MCU movie of 2022, and one of my new favorite MCU movies in general. I was really surprised by this movie. Speaking of movies that really surprised me, number 7, we have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Now, I was honestly having mixed feelings about this movie even up until its release date, and despite it getting really positive reviews, I still kind of had mixed feelings about it. But when I watched it, my God, just like with Wakanda Forever, this movie blew me away. The animation is stunning. It gives off heavy Spider-Verse vibes, which the animation in Spider-Verse is top-notch, and the animation here is top-notch as well. I love the cartooniness of it, and I just really love the animation. Characters are very, very fun and enjoyable. The voice acting is great. And surprisingly enough, the humor was actually pretty well done, in my opinion. Like, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting the humor to be that really special, but I'm not gonna lie, it was actually quite well done. I won't lie. And I just was really blown away by this movie. I actually liked it more than the first Puss in Boots, even though the first Puss in Boots, I still really liked that movie. And even though this movie isn't quite as good as the first two Shrek movies, I still had a lot fun with this movie. And I cannot wait to rewatch it, but in HD this time, because I did watch this movie online. Fortunately not in theaters, because it would have been an awesome experience, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But this was still an awesome movie, and I loved this a lot. Another movie that really surprised me. Number 6 is gonna go to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Now, Pinocchio, the other 2022 Pinocchio movie, well, there's two others, but the one from Disney that came out in September, I honestly did not like that version. But when I watched this version, I was hearing so much praise about this movie, and it even recently won Best Animated Feature at the Golden Globe Awards, and it was definitely well deserved because this movie was spectacular. The animation, I love stop motion animation. I think it's a very, very underrated type of animation that I think really needs more love. And this movie just pushes it to its fullest potential, and I love that a lot. I love the characters. I love the scenery. I love the writing. I just pretty much love everything about this movie. Not to also mention, there were some really emotional moments too, especially the ending. I'm not gonna lie, the ending honestly almost made me cry. And when I say cry, I mean literally tear up. And it's usually very rare for me to, like, literally tear up when I watch a movie. Like, it's actually very rare. I guess I just don't really get that emotional often, but I'm not gonna lie, the ending of this movie really almost made me cry, to be honest. But yeah, but that's just what makes this movie so much better. I loved this movie so much. This is definitely my favorite animated movie of 2022. Just slightly surpassing Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. But that movie's still awesome. So yeah, loved this movie to death. Number 5 is going to go to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, I won't lie, when I first watched this movie back in April online, I did really like it, but it wasn't like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece in my opinion. But I decided to rewatch it in the summer of 2022, and I gotta say, on a rewatch, it got better. I now think this movie is a masterpiece. I had a blast on my rewatch of this movie. First off, the performances are great. Michelle Yeoh knocks it out of the park. Like, to be honest, it's kind of a hard movie to explain because it's a very weird and bizarre movie, but at the same time, I just really, really love it. Like, I love the characters, I love, like, its story, the multiverse, um, not Multiverse of Madness. This is the different multiverse. And yeah, and I just had a lot of fun with this movie. Again, I can't really explain it that much because it is a very weird movie, but either way, I had a blast with this movie. And yeah, really enjoyed this movie. This was actually the first A24 movie I ever saw. And for A24, this definitely was a good start. For me, at least. Because, like I said, this was the first A24 movie that I ever watched. So, yeah. Loved this movie. And number 4, we have Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Now, I loved the first Knives Out movie. I'm a really big fan of, like, movies that have, like, the murder mystery, like, type of plot. I think it's a very interesting and entertaining plot for a movie. And this sequel definitely improved on the first, in my opinion, because I actually enjoyed the sequel slightly more than the first. But I still love the first a ton, though. But I had a blast with this sequel. I love the performances, love the characters. They're all very enjoyable and entertaining. Plot is, of course, great. And there were, like the first movie, there were many moments that had me on the edge of my seat. And I really loved the sequel. And like I said, I do think it's slightly better than the first Knives Out. But I still really like the first Knives Out movie. So yeah. But really enjoyed the sequel. Number 3 is going to go to Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Now, this is just a beautiful movie. If I could sum this movie up in just one word, it would be beautiful. This movie has just everything you'd want out of a movie. It's funny, it's heartwarming. It's just a great time overall. Like, this is seriously a movie that, like, every generation needs to see. Like, no matter what the generation is, every person needs to see this movie. Because trust me, it will make them feel better. There were many moments in this movie that made me emotional and almost made me cry. It's just a very, very heartwarming and just adorable movie overall. And it's just a beautiful movie. I absolutely loved this movie. This is definitely my personal favorite A24 movie of the ones that I've seen so far. Since, I haven't seen every A24 movie, but from the ones I've seen so far, this is one that's definitely my favorite. Loved this movie. And it is worthy of getting top 3 in my favorite movies of 2022. Number 2 is going to go to The Batman. Now, this was just an awesome superhero movie. Definitely one of the best superhero movies in recent times. I think Robert Pattinson really knocked it out of the park as Batman. And he's definitely my new favorite Batman. It used to be Christian Bale, which, don't get me wrong, I do still really like Christian Bale's Batman. But I just personally liked Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Batman more, to be honest. I also really liked Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I also really liked Colin Farrell as Penguin. And I also really liked Paul Dano as the Riddler. He did a great job as the Riddler. And the action is great, of course. And it's a more darker, like, I mean, Batman movies themselves are, you know, dark in a way, but this one is definitely one of the darkest. Like, but that I think that's what makes it like just a really awesome movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I saw this movie in theaters back in March, and it was an awesome theater experience. It's definitely, I was very glad I saw this movie in theaters because it was an awesome theater experience. We really loved this movie, and definitely, like I said, one of the best superhero movies in recent times. And now for my number one favorite movie of 2022. And my number one favorite movie of 2022 is Top Gun Maverick. First off, this is a movie that didn't even really need to exist. Like, the first Top Gun didn't really need a continuation, to be honest. But we got one anyway, 36 years later. 36 years later. And what we got was an awesome legacy sequel. This is really just the movie of the year. Like, first off, the action is outstanding in this movie. It is so well done. Performances are great. Tom Cruise delivers a great performance as Pete Maverick Mitchell. And I also really liked Val Kilmer as Iceman, even though, to be fair, and this is kind of a spoiler, but he isn't in it that much. But yeah, but I still really liked his portrayal. And also, I really liked the song Hold My Hand by Lady Gaga. I thought that was a really good song that was used in the end credits of this movie. And it is just a really good song. And the characters are, of course, very enjoyable. And I just had a blast with this movie. I honestly was not expecting it to be this good. Like, I was expecting to have fun with it, but I really was not expecting it to be this good. But oh my god, was it actually this good. This movie seriously blew me away. This is definitely my favorite movie of 2022. Not only that, it's one of my favorite sequels of all time, and it's also one of my favorite movies of all time. Loved this movie, really blown away by it, and is definitely worthy of taking the award as my favorite movie of 2022. And that is going to do it for my top 10 favorite movies of 2022. There were definitely many movies that really surprised me that I saw last year. And like I said, with a lot of the movies on this list, a lot of them definitely really surprised me. Like Top Gun Maverick, The Menu, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. A lot of them, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, a lot of them really surprised me. And yeah, these were just my personal favorite movies that I saw last year. So now that I did my personal favorite movies of last year, it's time for me to do my least favorite movies of last year, which that'll be coming soon. I don't know when exactly, but soon. But anyways, thank you for watching, and this is Shea Bear's Media Room signing off.